Hey guys, just to go on to the last video that I uploaded when it comes to NIGHTREIGN and how to always win. I wanted to create this video. There's going to be some footage in the background here, so just pay attention to the footage as you can. And also, obviously, pay attention to what I'm saying mostly. But I just want to go over this for new players. I see that a lot of players are coming into NIGHTREIGN, especially with all the weekly updates when it comes to new Everdarks, and then obviously news with new From Software games, not new From Software games, but new Souls-like games coming out 2026. Seems like it's going to be a really good year for that. But I see that a lot of players are, gravitating towards NIGHTREIGN. It's a little bit easier than Elden Ring. Not that Elden Ring is hard or anything else like that by any stretch of the imagination, but just for newer players, and it's easy. You get to play with multiplayer and all this other stuff. So I just want to make this video specifically targeting those new players. I know a lot of people from the business, for the barbershop clients that come in, and thank you for subscribing. All the new subscribers, welcome. Thank you for viewing the channel, all the stuff like that. I'm approaching 200 hours on NIGHTREIGN, so I just want to give my in-depth guide to how to maximize your wins, how to maximize your map rotation knowledge, comes to bosses, what to do when it comes to after you beat a boss in NIGHTREIGN, what like equipment you should use, or what attribute you should use, or what you specifically you want to look for when it comes to the end boss. Do you want to get more revives? Do you want to be able to get more equipment to where it's going to be easier for you for like damage negation or attack power up? All these things are going to be covered, and then hopefully you guys can also watch the video in the background to where it's going to give you a little bit more insight as to what I'm saying on top of obviously me discussing this. But to kind of piggyback off the last video that we were talking about when it comes to NIGHTREIGN and how to always win, when it comes to player selection, what character you're going to be using, picking your relics for that said character, finding out what Night Lord that you're going to want to beat and their specific attributes that they're weak to, pick out your relics to that, or at least when you're in game, figure out what equipment that you can get that's also going to tailor to their weakness. So, madness, holy lightning, fire, whatever it is that you're going to be going against, whatever Night Lord that you want to attack, what is that weakness that's going to be there? So you should always figure out like map knowledge when it comes to figuring out where you can get those equipment, set attributes, all that other good stuff. And then on top of that, I also wanted to talk about again, just piggybacking off of the last video when it comes to map knowledge, where you're going to have your rotation. Are you going to go after flasks? Are you going to go after levels? I always highly recommend levels. You want to get to level 15 as much as you can, because that way it's just going to get you further end game when you collect souls, right? So if you get to level 15 before day 2, or on day 2, right before you get to the end boss, you're going to have a good amount of souls left over, so that where you can go to the merchant and get some type of whatever bubble tier that you want to get, or if you want to get an extra revive or whatever you need to do, right? So a lot of these things are going to be for later in game and how we specifically play in the game to make it to where we're going to have the highest chance of success. We want to make sure that we do everything in our power the entire time, the entire gameplay, that we want to have as much success as possible, right? We want to make sure that we go in there and figure out anything that we need to do, relics, character, different attributes that we need to get for the to the Night Lord, the specific Night Lord, so we can get that easy damage. We want to make sure that we figure out what attributes that we're going to do. Are we going to do more damage negation, physical attack up, whatever we're going to do to help us out. Map knowledge, are we going to go with the flasks, levels, all that good stuff. And then when it comes to legendary weapons, figuring out the specific routes that we're going to do for the legendary weapons. I am doing Naklateo in this gameplay here, but we weren't able to get any legendary items until the very end when I beat Astel. I always joke around with his name, but he obviously always drops a legendary item. We didn't even get a legendary item with the chest, but that's okay. You don't always need a legendary item. Obviously, that's going to be for the later in the game. If you want to get legendary items, there's plenty of Naklateo runs, crater runs. There's a bunch of different opportunities to get legendary weapons. That's going to eventually, it's another added increase to be able to beat the end boss, right? You don't always need legendary weapons. And again, we're not going after caves, so we don't go after caves because we're going to eventually get a higher weapon. So all that being said, I know that took 4 minutes, and I was just like boom, 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 boom. I wanted to just get that all out there, so that way anybody who's just, let me get a quick answer on how I need to do it. Those are the things that we're going to piggyback off of on the last video that I uploaded, right? If you guys want more in-depth video on those things that I already said, just click on the video. I'll put it up here so that way you guys can see. I'll pop it up. But to go into a little bit more in depth, and then on top of that with some gameplay here as we're doing NIGHTREIGN. When it comes to the character, I like to use Iron Eye. I just don't like when enemies run away from me and I'm not going to be able to attack. Granted, if you don't have specific attributes with Iron Eye that are going to increase the damage, when you're further away, there's going to be a lot of drop-off damage, and there's also going to be a lot of drop-off range. So those two things are actually negligent to Iron Eye when it comes to damage. He's not going to have the most damage output. My favorite character is Wilder. I just haven't used him in a long time. I'll probably use him again later. But when it comes to like mostly attacks and stuns and crits, if you want to use Raider or Wilder, those are two of your best bets. I know a lot of characters, a lot of people also use characters for Revenant and Recluse because you can get a good amount of damage whenever it comes to stacking relics when it comes to those characters. But so yeah, number one, choosing your character. Iron Eye. Relics. I have all my relics in the beginning of the video if you guys wanted to go back and just rewatch and then pause it. I have 3 sets of relics that are going to help Iron Eye and his specific attributes when it comes to his skill and his special ability. And then on top of that, when it comes to finding out a specific attribute that's going to help us beat the end boss, there's not a lot of weapons that can go with Chaos. So we're doing the Everdark Libra. There's not a lot of weapons that are going to be able to do that. So there's no legendary weapons that I was able to get in this whole playthrough. So that's just going to be a minus. But if we did, we would want to go after that. Say if it was Caligo, it would be fire. So say you figure out a weapon that's going to have fire, then you would just add that to the character plus relic. Okay. And then when it comes to map, I always check my map. I always want to make sure, figure out what the route is that I'm going to do for said map. If it's a regular with no shifting earth, when it comes to woods, when it comes to mountaintop, crater, NIGHTREIGN, whatever it is, the first thing I always do is check out as soon as the game begins is I have to take a look at the map. I need to know where the flasks are going to be. So whenever the Church America is going to be, where on my rotation can I go in there is to have specific set bosses to where if I see or know where the bosses are going to end up, because they're all basically, even with the shifting earths, all the bosses tend to be in a relative area. So Rotted Woods, they all the way tend to be top right. When it comes to mountaintop, they tend to be on top left. There's no shifting earth, they tend to be, honestly, you want to figure out just if you can get your phone or something else. I don't want to go over all of it because it's more in depth on just for new players, and it can get super complicated when it comes to figuring out all the different strategies and methods, but this is just going to be how we do it in this game. So map knowledge, figure out where the bosses are going to be, and then go from there, right? Because we want to figure out our route. If it's on the way, I will gladly go after a Church America and increase our flasks. So if it's going to be anywhere, the route that we're going to take to get legendary items or get specific bosses that could have a chance to drop legendary items, or a specific boss that I know for a fact is going to be takes a lot of damage and we're going to be able to get another attribute like stamina or HP, I'll go after those. So like if I were to see, for instance, the Bell Bearing, if it wasn't in a specific area where I knew I could get a potential legendary item from him, I just wouldn't go attack him. But say I saw somebody like Loretta. Loretta is always going to be in NIGHTREIGN in a specific area. I always want to go after her because she has the ability to drop a legendary item. When it comes to the Black Knife Assassin, in NIGHTREIGN, there's 2 times where you could get the Black Knife Assassin, on the left side and on the right side. That's going to either drop you a physical attack, damage negation, or some type of weapon, and then obviously attributes like stamina and HP. So figuring out where they are, figuring out the map, that's the most important. Granted, that's number 4 on the list, but it's not that it's going to be like the 4th most important. Honestly, figuring out map knowledge would be the most important. But for new players, I always suggest figuring out who your character is going to be, figure out your relics, figure out what the boss you're going to do, figure out what attributes you can go to attack that person, and then get that. And then as soon as you load in game, then figure out your map knowledge. On top of that, when it comes to figuring out map knowledge, you want to make sure that you have easy pathing to where if you're going to want to upgrade, then that's great. That's cool. If you want to, I wouldn't recommend wasting your time, but if you want to waste your time and go in the caves and say you have a weapon that has a really good skill set and you want to include it and upgrade it to where it could be rare, not legendary, but rare, then you're more than welcome to go and craft that in the mines. You can go and get another smithing stone and then craft that for yourself. But for us, when it comes to new players, I want to make sure that you guys don't waste your time. I want to make sure that you don't do anything you can to increase your day 1s and day 2s whenever it comes to time. Time is not on your side. Time, as you can see, even in this gameplay, there's been plenty of opportunities where like I could have gone to different areas and not wasted my time, but I still wasted my time because of mismanaging a little bit of parkour or figuring out. Parkour with LianLi is really good, especially when you have the two skills, jumping from area and then swinging onto the other side. It's phenomenal. I love playing LianLi with that aspect. LianLi and Wilder is honestly the best way to do parkour because of his grapple. Sorry for the ADHD. Let's go back to what we're talking about. Figuring out map knowledge and stuff like that to where you're going to have your specific route and character and all this other stuff. I want to go over specifically, especially on this gameplay, Everdark Libra, another tip for new players. Figure out what you can do if you're going to want to stay, if you're more of an aggressive player or more of a defense player. This isn't on the last video, so this is just all new information, and I want to dive deep into this. When it comes to figuring out what playstyle you need to play and what playstyle you're comfortable with playing, if you're more on the back end defense, you're going to want to go anything that you collect in this game. You want to make sure that your damage negation is incredibly high. You want to make sure that your damage negation for specific attributes, whenever you get these low level characters, whenever you get the power up, there's always going to be 3 items. It's usually two weapons and a skill. Whenever you beat these things, you want to make sure as soon as you see damage negation, boom, put it in there. As soon as you see help with holy affinities, boom, put it in there. That's if you're defensive. Obviously, all your weapons, all the passive attributes that you get, they're gonna be collected, right? There's only some weapons that you need to have on your offhand in order to constantly be active. HP, full HP recovery, constant HP recovery. Anytime you get a legendary weapon, if there's like a great sword or Maria's, that needs to be on your offhand so that way you can be able to collect those attributes as well, because those are all passive incomes, right? Not passive incomes, Jesus. My business brain is coming in. Those are all passive traits. So that way, whenever you have them, it's passive. It's not an active trait that you need, right? Now, if you're doing anything when it comes to a super aggressive player, you're going to want to do a complete opposite of what I just said for the defensive player, right? You want to go in attack as much as you can. All your weapons that you need to get, as soon as you figure out what they are in the passive, you want to make sure that they're going to be anything that's going to increase your attack, increase your holies, and any type of attributes that's going to basically make your character increase the damage output as much as possible, including talismans. If you figure out talisman that you can enhance charge attacks, increases your jump attacks, all these things, right? They all play in a role into getting the day 1, day 2, and then obviously day 3 end bosses. So these things are all gonna line up, and they all need to be somewhat coherent, right? They need to make sure it needs to be like a 1-to-1, right? So it'd be weird if you had all weapons that are going to be defensive and then all your attributes that you get after defeating people are all physical. Not that it can't work, but just figure out what you want in the specific end boss and how you're going to play that. You want to make sure that if you're a defensive player, just stack everything on the defense. If you're an offensive player, then you want to make sure to stack as much as offense as possible. Especially if you've done it multiple times and seen other people play, if you can memorize the person's moveset, obviously you're probably not watching this video if you're going to be able to do a no-hit or no-death run when it comes to the Everdark bosses. But these are just things that for new players, honestly, this is a video that I would have liked to watch when I was playing, because obviously it was just trial and error when the game first came out. People didn't have as many videos as we have now, right? People didn't have specific routes. When it comes to figuring out defense and offensive players, just figure out, make sure that they're coherent as possible. Another tip that I have, and this is honestly probably going to be the one that's going to be, how much time do you want to divulge into this game? Obviously, I'm almost at 200 hours. Where do you want to be in this game? Are you playing it as like a passive fun? Are you having like a good time? Are you trying to do challenge runs? Are you having a good time with players, like your friends, and you want to continue playing and continuously win nonstop? If you're going to figure out whatever you're going to do, if you're doing it passively, honestly, then this probably video you wouldn't even be watching it. So I'm going to assume that you as a new player are wanting to better yourself and then figure out day 1, day 2, and day 3 and how to actually win, right? Figure out, and this is going to be a pain in the ass, and it's going to be a little bit annoying because it involves a little bit of reading, but figure out all the things that you can on Reddit or Twitter, or figure out anything else like that. There's a lot of Elden Ring, NIGHTREIGN wikis. Figure out bosses' weaknesses, figure out where on the shifting earth are the enemies, figure out, besides just playing it constantly, right? Fresh start, say you're brand new, you've never played it before, you don't memorize the routes because you didn't even put 60 hours into the game. Figure out and go on these forums, figure out the wikis, figure out all the map locations. Where are you going to go beat a boss, get a Church of America, say you spawn in on the lower level. and then you want to go and take the tree and fly up because there's another flask and there's also another boss. Figure out anything that you can when it comes to that. There's different strategies for different shifting earths. There's different strategies for different players. Do you want to chase Evergoal and the Everjails because you have physical attack up whenever you beat Everjail? Do you want to chase different Everjail bosses? Do you want to figure out... There's a multitude of different ways that you can play this game. It's just how I play. The Everjail strategy used to be good. It's just I don't personally use that anymore because the attack power increase wasn't as much as what you could find when it comes to relics and beating these Everdark bosses and the relics that they provide as well. So that's just a strategy that you can use or don't use. Then you can also figure out what is the best items that your character stacks with, right? A really good thing when it comes to choosing your character and looking up forms on the wiki pages, or even if you go in game, if you go into the journal, it tells you what your character's strengths and weaknesses are. And then on top of that, besides the biography of it, underneath it tells you the preferred weapon. Do they prefer a greatsword? Do they prefer a bow? Obviously, IronEye and Wilder would prefer a greatsword and a bow, right? So all these things come in culmination to figuring out what is the best method for beating these bosses. It tends to be a little bit more, not neurotic. It tends to be a little bit more complicated when you get to the fine, nitty and gritty of it, besides just, up in with 2 other players and then just balls to the walls trying to figure out what best you can. So there's definitely times when you do that. There's plenty of times where like I was doing remembrances and trying to beat the bosses, and I was just doing balls to the walls, crazy things. Like and for IronEye, I wanted to use sorcery one day for some reason. I don't know why. So you can definitely do that method, but I'm assuming you want to win. I'm assuming you're trying to get to as much of the night bosses as possible, so that way you can eventually do the Everdark, and then obviously the new challenge runs that with the DLC is going to happen, because they're going to create different game modes, right? So hopefully this video helps you out in that as well. But yeah, so when it comes to all these different things, when it comes to, sorry, the balls to the walls thing is still cracking me up. But yeah, so when it comes to all these things, they all culminate together. So I want to reiterate, I know I've been saying this multiple times and I haven't shut up yet, but I just want to make sure we reiterate everything else like that. Character, figure out what character you're going to use, figure out what relics you're going to use that's going to stack for that character, and figure out what relics you're going to use for that boss that's going to, be an all culmination for a better attack to defeating the boss. For instance, if it was Libra, figure out for Madness. If it was for Caligo, figure out anything that's going to increase your physical attack up with fire. Figure out whatever the night bosses, the night lords are weak to. Figure out what you can do in combination with your character and relics. Combine all these three things. And then not lastly, but for the most important one, honestly, is going to be map knowledge. Figure out where the shifting earth is. Figure out your routes for that. Obviously, whenever it comes to shifting earths, there's plenty of ways to get legendary items, legendary things that are going to increase your power attack, or anything else that's going to be useful. Shifting earths are phenomenal. And if it's not, then there's no shifting earth and it's just a regular map, honestly, go straight to the castle, get to level 15 on day 1. There's plenty of videos. I'm not going to make a video on that because there's already plenty of videos on how to get to level 15 on day 1. Always go on YouTube or wikis and they'll show you all the specific guides. This is just specifically on how to basically get good and win for all new players, right? So this is how my method is always going to be for leveling 15 and then skipping the Churches of America to get flasks, because what I used to do is get Church of America flasks because I thought that was going to be most beneficial, but I wouldn't even be level 10 when I first started and I would just get wiped out. All my flasks would be empty. Come to find out, level 15, you didn't even have to increase your flasks because you're so overpowered. You got increased damage, you got increased health, you got increased damage negation, all that other stuff that can combo and stack on top of each other, right? It really is a race to get as much attributes as possible and then have everything in culmination contribute with your relics as well, so that way you could beat the end boss. Lastly, besides map knowledge and figuring out where you're going to get for weapons and all this other stuff, physical attack, are you more a defensive player, more aggressive player, which ones are your attributes going to go attack? If you really want to get into the habit of winning nonstop, check out the wiki pages as much as you can. Check out multiple videos as much as you can. Figure out how to get to level 15, figure out what's the strongest weapon for this person, figure out all the map knowledges you can get, figure out all the different weaknesses that the boss can, take from whatever thing that you can get. So fire damage negation increases the affinities, physical attack, damage negation on the specific boss. We'll just use Caligo because I keep saying it for nonstop. If it's you know, ice, then you want to make sure that the damage negation against ice, different affinities, goes against that, right? And then physical attack for increased fire. You want to make sure all these things are as in your benefit as much as possible. So besides this video, if you want, also check out wikis. I recommend wikis, or just constantly play left and right. But know your play style and figure out if you're aggressive, if you're not, if you're defensive, and hopefully this video helps you out as much as possible. Sorry that was a lot. I know I haven't taken any breaks, and this probably sounds like I didn't breathe, and hopefully you guys aren't hearing my breath, but hopefully this video helps. And yeah, hopefully you guys get some wins. Good luck. See ya.